This is the Four-Man Rush. Hello, Panther fans, and welcome to another Four-Man Rush podcast. I'm your host, Timmy V.O., here with Kevin and Larry. Will is taking a sabbatical, but that's all right. We're going to keep on pressing. So tonight we're going to talk about a couple of topics, one being the three-day minicamp, how things went, and some of the news that came out of that. Our new addition, wide receiver, Mr. Hogan, and his comments about Cam and Tom and the comparison. Not necessarily from a throwing standpoint, but from a alpha standpoint, so to say. And of course, we're going to talk about the top 5 camp questions. Wofford's right around the corner, and there's some couple of things that we want to answer questions about. Things that have popped up in the social media world. Topics that we talked about between ourselves, things of that nature. So we're going to tackle all that today. All right, so let's start off with 3-day minicamp. A lot of good things came out of that, for everything from Cam's throwing motion to, the fact that he's throwing again, period, to some of the highlights that Coach Rivera is talking about. So we'll start with Larry. Welcome back to the Four-Man Rush podcast. What special things did you see, or what things that really popped out to you that you were really positive about from this 3-day minicamp we had?
Well, I particularly pay attention to the line of scrimmage, and it's really hard to get too much to take away from when it's only shorts, But the fact that our young guys are working, getting fundamentally sound. I paid close attention to Greg Little. From what little footage that we did get to see, it looks like he's progressing pretty well. Mm-hmm. My biggest takeaway is the competition, at the offensive line goes. Greg Van Roten said he's not giving up his spot. And I think when it comes to, securing spots, it all starts in training camp. How well are guys picking up the playbook, how fundamentally sound are guys being, so on and so forth. Also, some of the splash plays on the outside, Curtis Samuel, seems like he hasn't missed a beat. He's, making those catches that, we were in awe about last year. It just gets you more excited to go to Spartanburg. I want to see guys get going. I want to see the pads come on so we can actually decide who's who. And that's pretty much it on my behalf.
Yeah, good points, man. Kevin, what'd you see after this 3-day camp?
Well, for me, out of the 3-day camp, some of the things that stood out to me was something that probably a lot of fans I didn't notice speak much about, was how well all of our quarterbacks were performing. With Cam Newton coming in, recovered from a shoulder surgery, and the drafting of Will Greer in the 3rd round, it was just pretty much assumed that Will Greer was going to be, the backup to Cam Newton. But throughout OTAs and minicamp, I don't know if you want to call them veterans, but, Kyle Allen and both Taylor Heinicke both had very good showings for what it was in OTAs and minicamp. Rivera had sung the praises of both players. I remember reading several highlights where both Allen and Heinicke were connected on deep passes, hitting players, on crossing routes, and, just definitely giving a good show. So, also to be noted that guys like F.A. Obata and Brian Cox Jr. were also getting reps at the 5 technique defensive end position in our 3-4 looks. So that's something to be noted as well. It's being reported that Obata put on 15 pounds of muscle in the offseason. Now, I think that's a significant amount, if I'm not mistaken. I've never done that. I've done 15 burgers in the off season before, but I never put on 15 pounds of muscle in the off season. But it's just good to see that, what we've been speaking on is player flexibility, and our players are showing ability in a 3-4, playing 5 technique, and then just the defensive ends, and in a 4-3, still being able to play the defensive ends on the outside edge of the tackles. So I just like the fact that our players so far are being moved around, and it's just going to be fun watching Rivera play chess finally on defense and being able to not only match up with teams, but create matchup problems for offensive schemes as well.
Are you surprised that Gerald McCoy's leadership presence is felt already? Just out of three mini camp practices.
Nah, not for me.
Nah, not
One of the
really.
first plays they said that stood out was the fact that on a play where I guess McCaffrey kind of broke loose, McCoy was running stride for stride, chasing after them downfield. And that just kind of drew a whoa from everybody. And
Whoa.
McCoy's like, hey, man, that's how I practice. McCaffrey looked back and he said he saw McCoy chasing him, running stride with him, and I was like, wow, that's what's up. I mean, it's not necessarily a good thing, to have your defensive tackle chasing a running back downfield. That means a busted play doesn't happen. But, seeing that type of hustle, because as we all know, you get 3 or 4 defenders to that ball carrier. If anything happens, the odds are in our favor. So it's just good that McCoy is coming in and, leading by example. And it was also pretty cool at the end of minicamp that he had got the ice cream truck with the
Yeah.
ices for the players and the coaches and everybody. So, overall, just good to see him and his personality on field and off field be displayed during minicamp.
Yeah, I love how comfortable he feels already coming in there, and just contributing like that, just gelling with everybody. He mentioned that when he was at the that dinner that everybody showed up to. I think it was like 8 players showed up. The captains, top dudes, and everybody just clicked off gate. That's a beautiful thing, man. It's a beautiful thing. All right, so moving on to the next topic, wide receiver, Mr. Hogan, Mr. Professional himself, had some things to say about Cam Newton and his willingness to win, and in comparison to one GOAT Tom Brady. What exactly did he say about that?
I mean, I guess he was asking questions and he was really just comparing, how it was when he was playing with Tom Brady versus how it would be with Cam Newton. Obviously, the biggest thing that stands out is the competitive nature. I don't think that surprises any of us. At the end of the day, my quarterback is 3-0 against Tom Brady. So as far as being competitive, I know Cam is going to bring it just like
Facts.
Tom, but he was just really talking about the fiery attitude. That kind of stuff is contagious. So that kind of speaks volumes. Speaks volumes to the fact that he wants to win. And for you to win the Super Bowl, what's the first thing that counts? Everybody wants to win. You gotta buy into what the process is. So I guess as far as that goes, leadership, competitiveness, he saw a lot of similarities to the two. I know he did bring up some Super Bowl talk. He was asked if he feels like he's on the Super Bowl roster. I like to temper those expectations. I still have a bad taste in my mouth from that year that Ryan Khalil came in camp all excited and predicted we were going to go ahead and win the Super Bowl. We didn't even have the season that we wanted to have that year.
Mm-hmm.
I just want everybody to stay grounded, stay focused on the task, and get better, one step at a time. But it's good to hear those type of things from Chris Hogan because it does show you at least the culture is right. At least the culture is going in the right direction. And, his perspective means a lot coming from a championship caliber team. I think he even got 2 Super Bowls out of 3 playing with the Patriots. So obviously he knows what it takes, starting from as far as minicamp, to get the job done.
Mm-hmm. What you think, Kev?
Yeah, well, I think the fact that, someone that spent 3 years with Tom Brady and has only spent, maybe a couple of months here with Cam Newton during the off-season and OTAs and minicamp, for him to, make that type of comparison, I think that speaks volumes for, Cam Newton. Like Larry said, our quarterback was 3-0 against Tom whenever it counted. Definitely would like to see that go to 4-0, in a game in February. But we'll let the chips play out on that part.
Man, yes.
But yeah, I just like the fact that anybody that knows Cam Newton knows that competition, takes him to a higher level that this ultimately brings out the best of him. I mean, one of the favorite gifts that all of us like to use is that one in 2015, when we played the Giants and the Giants had just tied up the game and Cam had a towel on his head and he just nodded his head and like, okay, let's go do this. That's Killer Cam. That's Ace Boogie. That's money time right there. So I just think the fact that, this comparison just shows all of us that even though Brady has all the hardware and he rightfully deserves it, that, from a competitiveness standpoint, Hogan feels like that Cam Newton is on the same level with Tom Brady when it comes to being competitive. And I think that says a lot. It wasn't something that he was coaxed into saying just for publicity or anything like that. I think he was being honest, and I think he was being unbiased and objectionable by saying it. So definitely good to hear.
I think he also wanted to, he can't tell us too much, but from what we know about our quarterback in comparison to Tom Brady's, he's really crafty before the snap. He's a cerebral type quarterback that a lot of people don't give him credit for. But as far as, coming to the play, making line calls, Clay Matthews had to remind the world that Cam Newton studies film as well. So just as far as the mental part of the game, people need to show more respect for Cam as far as being prepared. He prepares just like anybody else. So I think that might have something to do with the comparison too.
Yeah, definitely. That's something. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, I was going to say, yeah, he Cam is more of a cerebral player. It's just his flamboyancy on the sidelines and how he carries himself kind of takes people away from that image. But Cam is he's football savvy, dude. His IQ is pretty high. But that's all I wanted to say about that, Kevin. Go ahead.
Yeah, and I just want to say that even amongst some Panther fans that we have that seem to have a perceived notion that Cam Newton is not as high football IQ as some of the greats of the game, such as the Bradys, the Brees, the Rodgers, and kind of very much annoys me, because they look at the fact, he ran a simplified offense, a one-read offense at Auburn and things like that. But let's not forget, former offensive coordinator, Mike Shula even came out and said that it was Cam Newton who was showing and teaching him about the 2-minute no-huddle offense, that we started running with effectiveness. And, I just think the fact that, due to Cam's, as you said, flamboyant style and, former rep as, kind of a, crybaby or so when things don't go his way, I think people just automatically lump that in to think that he wasn't, mentally on par with some of the elite quarterbacks of the game. And that's simply, just not true, So I just like the fact that this kind of demonstrates that, on a cerebral level, Cam Newton is as good as any quarterback that's in the NFL right now. And I look forward to his body being able to catch up with his mind in 2019.
Yeah, and I've mentioned this quite a few times. I know on social media and whatnot, and in some discussions with folks that I used to work with. Cam was not groomed to be a pocket passing quarterback. He never was. He didn't have to. It was just out of pure, physical talent that he was able to toss that ball around like he did in Auburn and like he did in his rookie season when he just smashed records. And I'm still kind of irked about this. The fact that Shula spent how many seasons was he with Cam? And Cam never really got better as a throwing quarterback. Well, excuse me, not Shula, but Dorsey, the supposed quarterback coach. I mean, it still bothers me to this day that we wasted that much time on Cam, and we didn't get him the type of help that he needed to become a proficient passer. Just look at last season, in a short amount of time. With surgery last season as well, his percentages were outstanding compared to what they normally were. Not Drew Brees' rate, obviously, but Brees is a unicorn in himself. But Cam was really on par last season with just that little bit of help from the new coaching staff. So, I'm really excited for Cam, man. I'm really excited. If he can stay healthy, boy, it's going to be trouble.
That speaks volumes about Mr. Scott Turner, man. And,
absolutely.
His dad is a great. He's been around North Turner, but people forget he also spent some time at Michigan with Harbaugh, another quarterback guru. Mm-hmm. So if you pay attention, he helped Teddy Bridgewater progress. And like you said, I agree with you because there's so much room for growth with Cam that we're finally getting to see. Yeah. We've only got a taste of it for about one season. So definitely, I do feel a little bit bad that we wasted so much time as we did as well. But on an optimistic point, maybe we will see the best of Cam because, most people in this party right now don't think that we have. even with the MVP season, we still think the best of Cam is yet to come.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah, and just to throw this out here real quickly, guys. I just put up some stats, just to, kind of support what we're saying about Cam Newton.
Yeah, sure.
Through Cam Newton's first 8 years of his career, it says here that for the first 8 years of any quarterback's career that's ever played in the NFL, here's where Cam Newton ranks among all quarterbacks that's ever played at least 8 years or more in NFL. Cam Newton is first in rushing yards, first in rushing touchdowns, first in total touchdowns, third in total yards, fourth in total completions, fifth in passing yards, ninth in passing TDs, and 13th in total wins. So, for all that can be said about the good and bad of Cam Newton, deserve it and undeservedly so, his first 8 years have been nothing short of, spectacular as far as total cumulative, summary of his overall body of work. And I just think the fact that he did it unconventional and he did it his way, for the most part, until North got here to, change some things around. This speaks volumes for all those who think that Cam Newton is not capable of being, one of the great cerebral quarterbacks in the league. You just don't get those type of numbers, by being just okay or average, minded quarterback. That's all I had to say.
What was the source in those stats, Kevin?
Yeah, the source of those stats here comes from NFL.com. It was on Twitter, a guy named Sideline Mike.
Gotcha.
Yeah, so that's that's where the source of this information came from.
Yeah. Yeah, just to let you know, fans, and all you listeners out there, we don't just put out information just for the hell of it. Okay? We always bring you statistics that are relevant, all right? And we try to cite everything that we put out there. We don't want to just be a bunch of talking heads, all right? This is the four-man rush, and dadgummit, we're about football and facts. Factual, logical, credible. Remember that.
Yes, sir.
All right, so moving on to the last item on the menu today. Questions going into the old Wofford. Woo, man! I can't wait for Wofford. Man, this is gonna be interesting. It's gonna be a lot of hitting going on, man. Especially in those trenches, man. It's gonna be interesting. Oh, buddy. So top 5 questions, Kev. Well, do you have 5 questions that you want to talk about, or did you have five of your own, and Larry have 5?
Yeah, I kind of have my own 5.
Okay.
There's plenty to go around, so I doubt me and Larry are going to have the same 5. But if we do, great minds think alike.
Right on.
For me, here's my top 5. Number one, the obvious main one, will Cam Newton's not only healthy shoulder but new throwing motion have enough time to gel to be ready for week 1 against the Rams? That's obviously the biggest elephant in the room to discuss right there. Number 2 for me is how these positions on the offensive line are going to play out, not only, with the starting 5, but also key rotational depth as well. We're looking at the fact that, last year's starting left guard, Greg Van Roten, has already made it known, you're not going to just give my spot away. You're going to have to take it from me. And I like that. So, Darrell Williams, I know he didn't participate much, but it's going to take him playing on an all-pro level like he did in 2017 to pretty much earn his spot on the line. Again, with position flexibility, I know it's thinking that we're going to automatically start Little at left tackle, but hey, we just don't know how the starting 5 is going to end out, because players are going to get moved around, and we're going to see. Third question for me heading into camp is, what's the status of Greg Olsen in 2019? He's 34 years old. His last 2 seasons have been hampered by, foot injury. One was a broken bone. The other was plantar fasciitis. And I just want to see how at the age of 34, how he can bounce back. Now, They said he was snagging everything in camp with one hand and two. I mean, in OTAs and minicamp. Again, helmet and shorts, I can only get so impressed, but to see him out there and, not having any discomfort, not being set out at any periods due to any type of soreness, that was a good sign. So my third question is definitely about, what Greg Olson's going to bring to the table in 2019. Number four, my fourth question about training camp is between this hybrid look of 3-4 looks and 4-3 looks with these different philosophies, how these defensive line rotations going to turn out. You're going to have guys that, quote unquote, start the position, but then you got to have guys that's going to rotate. So when we're in a three-man front, it's pretty much assumed that it's going to be Poe at nose tackle, McCoy, and Kawan Short at the other defensive line spots, the defense ends, but who the guys is going to be coming behind them. I want to see what Vernon Butler's going to do. Cal Love, as I mentioned earlier, F.A. Obata and Brian Cox, they've getting looks at the five techniques. So I want to see, how this defensive line rotation comes out. And my fifth question, something that hasn't been mentioned much, I want to see how much our special teams are going to improve. We had a strong bounce back year in 2018 with our special teams with the first-year coordinator, Chase Blackburn, running the units. I want to see if we can improve upon that from a kicking and punting aspect and coverage aspect. These are the five questions that's on my mind heading into Camp Wofford.
Interesting.
I got some similar ones. For one, definitely Cam's throwing motion. With shorts and helmets, you got to see a little bit of what he had to offer. But I think once that pads actually come on, how will he adjust to that? It's a little bit different throwing with shoulder pads on than it is not having shoulder pads on. Mm-hmm. 2 is a pretty funny one, but I think anybody that's been down there understands why I'm asking this question. But how hot is it going to be in Spartanburg this year, I think I sweated through a couple of shirts last time I went down there, so that's something that I'm, eager to get prepared for. 3, the safety competition. I know Ron mentioned last week that, he didn't actually say it like, this is Rashawn Golden's job. He hasn't given him anything yet. He wants to see what other guys are going to step up and bring competition to that position. And I'm also intrigued to find out as well. 4 is what I actually have to go to Spartanburg to see for myself, being the hog molly lover that I am. I want to see how the trenches play out. I want to see if Greg Little has the physicality to actually run block on this level. We won't be able to see that until pads come on. I want to see what Gerald McCoy has as far as, why was he able to come here? Why did the Bucs release him? Is there any question marks as far as what he's capable of doing? I just want to make sure he's in shape, still capable of being an effective DT as he was in years past. And I also want to see what the rookies have to offer. Pads come on. What is Brian Burns going to give you off the edges? Has he learned how to give you a bull rush? Because we already knew he had the fast first step, but physically, can he put it all together? And these are just some little things that you can actually see for yourself if you come down to Spartanburg and watch these guys in the trenches closely. And that's pretty much it for me, man. It's the things that you couldn't get answered in minicamp as far as physicality in the trenches, Cam's real throwing motion once pads come on, and stuff like that. So, and I'll see you guys in Spartanburg.
Yeah, listeners out there, if you're going to head down to Wofford, man, make sure you look for the 4-man rush. I know for sure Larry and Kevin will be there. Will has talked about coming up. I myself will not be there. But Monty, we'll see, Monty. I don't know. Monty got some things going on. But I think I have 5 questions. It's somewhat different from you guys, but one thing for sure, obviously, again, like you guys mentioned, is the throwing motion with his pads on. That's gonna be interesting to me. He seems to be throwing okay, and everything seems to be working in order. But when you start getting a little pressure and you start getting in the pocket, and you got guys flying at you, we'll see if he maintains that throwing motion that he's been working on. Another one is the new center that we acquired. Was Pilatus?
Yeah, Matt Paradis.
Thank you. I just want to make sure that he stays healthy, man. If he can stay healthy after that surgery that he had, and He can really produce for that O line, and everybody can communicate on the same page, and everything fluid. That'll be awesome. But that is a question mark. How freak things happen. Another question. My third question is how is Shaq Thompson going to pan out? I know he's comfortable running a 4-3, but I don't think he's ever really. They've implemented some 3-4 schemes and things of that nature with linebackers, and I'm pretty sure that he's comfortable with the lingo and how Coach Rivera is running things. But no TD. This is his season, so I'm curious about how he's going to pan out. Question number 4 is going to be, who the hell is going to back up Cam? That's a question that's been in my mind. I know Will Greer is nice. You got a nice throw. But we got 2 guys that played behind Cam that stuck their necks out last year, and one of them got a win against the Saints. So I mean, I'm really curious about that. And my last question will be how's this coaching staff going to pan out? Rivera's doing the coordinator thing full time for the first time, and we got some new assistant coaches, position coaches, things of that nature, and I'm really curious how these guys are going to respond in terms of learning and being motivated, because that hampered us last year. We lost some close games last year because our coaching staff apparently was lacking in getting some of these veterans motivated, things of that nature. So curious about that, man. Those are my 5. But
I mean, your 5 are pretty much the most important questions that nobody's asking. The coaching staff is extremely important. We want to see how well Farrell's going to adjust and gel with our DBs. We got a clock manager now. We want to see how that's going to work out. I completely agree with you, man. Those are really, really important things to consider going into training camp, because you want to see how this whole staff is going to gel.
Yeah, man, that worries me a little bit, man. Under a minute on the clock, you got one timeout. We're on offense, marching down the field. It's just so many things can happen in that scenario. But yeah, I appreciate that, man. Yeah, that worries me. But we'll see. So, you guys have any closing remarks?
Yeah, I'd just like to also, we've got a last few minutes here to bring this up. It was mentioned by cornerback James Bradbury that in 2019 that the Panthers are going to be playing a lot more man coverage in the secondary. And I, for one, excuse me, fellas, I'm applauding that, for real, because when you look at the skill set of the guys that's playing our secondary, particularly our cornerbacks, their natural strength of what they're best at is man coverage, bump and run. This is my guy. I'm locking onto him, and that's nothing you can do about it. Yep. Now, obviously, we're not going to be all man, because we still got some good zone philosophies that work. But the fact that Bradbury mentioned that we're going to be playing a lot more man coverage in 2019, I love that, because one thing that I noticed during the film watching of the 2018 season was that when Rivera took over, I started seeing a lot more coverage. Of man coverage going on, bump and run coverage. Few times some cover zero where Rivera just I'm locking everybody up and I'm blitzing. I'm sending the house. So it was definitely something that I'm encouraged to see and looking to see more of. Particularly when teams come out in these spread formations and they got tight ends, running backs, and wide receivers spread out. Okay. We're going to man up. Okay, you got this one, you got this one, you got this one. Let's lock it down. And I think that we finally got the personnel that can match up to these different complex offensive schemes that have hampered us over the past few years. So definitely looking forward to seeing that in 2019. And with this being Bradbury's 4th year, his final year of his rookie contract, don't be surprised if a new contract is given to him right before the season starts. I think that from mistakes learned from the past, particularly with Josh Norman, heading into a fourth season, it would serve us well to go ahead and lock Bradbury up, because if he's going to be playing to his main strength, which is man coverage, and God forbid that head done turned around from Perry Fowell getting on him and he snags in 4 to 6 interceptions this year, that price tag is going up. And I, for one, will hope that we can get him at a fair price now versus what the bidding wars would be for him if we decide to wait to after the season. So, that's just my closing remark with man coverage and with James Bradbury in 2019.
I'll add on to that briefly because I remember a time where we couldn't come up with zero coverage because you couldn't trust the guys on the outside not to get beat.
Yeah, man.
For years we had to sit back and cover 3 because we couldn't trust the guys not to get beat. Now you're looking at 2 outside corners where that's their strength. Bradbury loves to be up in somebody's face. Dante Jackson loves to be up in someone's face because he has that recovery ability that nobody else really has. So he can take some chances. We can get more turnovers. But it's just 3 years ago, we couldn't do this. So I agree with you, Kevin. I'm 100% excited about that we can actually come out and press more. That gives us more opportunities to blitz, and we not have to worry about getting beat because we finally have the athleticism on the back end to recover if needed. Can't really come out and say secondary is the weakest link right now, except for maybe the unknown at safety, and that might not even be the case. But when you look at the whole body, Dante Jackson, James Bradbury, and Eric Reed roaming that deep end, this is the best secondary we've had. So man coverage screams success to me. But that's all I had to add to that.
Yeah, I agree, man. This folks, this could potentially be the best coverage secondary we've ever had. I mean, I'm serious, top to bottom. This could potentially be the best coverage secondary we've ever had. Could that be because of the front 4 or front 3 or whatever? Possibly, but skill set for skill set. What Larry mentioned, folks, these guys can cover. These guys can cover. And matter of fact, Rivera, just real quick, Rivera mentioned when Coach Wilkes was still here. I believe Bradbury was a rookie. And he said Coach Wilkes likes to get in front of the DBs, to understand the type of power they got in that punch when they're trying to jam a receiver. He said he had a bruise on his chest for a while. Bradbury got some heavy hands. You know what I'm saying? I suggest you listeners can go check out some of the film that's out there, videos out there on Bradbury. I believe we'll put one together. Bradbury will jam the mess out you, right? He'll shake you loose a little bit. So, boy, woo, this is gonna be a good year. It's gonna be a good year. The receiver core, I don't know. We're young, we're hungry, but I don't know. We'll see. But that defense, whew, hot to mighty.
Yeah, and I think that's going to go well in practice in the week. Both sides facing the type of talent that we're going to put out there. We're talking about we like to say amongst ourselves, iron sharpening iron.
Yes, sir.
How often is our offensive line and is going to see this type of talent on a week in and week out basis on all levels? You're potentially talking about multiple Pro Bowlers on all 3 levels of the defense, type of capability. And on the vice versa, when our defense got to get ready. I mean, we got some guys that can shake and bake and slice and dice, and we can also just muscle up and just punch you dead in your throat. So I think that practices are probably could be more tougher during the week than what we see on Sundays on some days. So I definitely look forward to that as well.
Amen, man. Amen.
Y'all think we're gonna get a camp fight? And if so, who?
I think it's gonna be on the front, man. I think it's gonna be one little gonna scrap with somebody. Little gonna scrap with somebody because somebody gonna catch him. I see it. Somebody gonna catch him. That's too much savvy on that DN group, man. He gonna catch his. He might get a little frustrated. I don't know.
I agree, man. That's something to think about.
Yo, I think Dante Jackson might, because that man got mouth and he likes to back it up. I wouldn't be surprised if him and Samuel don't, have a nice exchange, things like that. Bradbury, he all quiet, he all works. I don't expect nothing from him, but somebody like a Dante Jackson and a Samuel, you talking about 4-3 guys, both of them want to lay claim as the fastest one. I mean, call a 9 route and talk some smack and see what happens when the play is over. I mean, hey, I'm ready.
Oh, man.
Well, I only asked that question because last time we had a legit fight in camp, what happened, man? We went to the Super Bowl. So I think we need a little bit of that fire.
Hell yeah.
We need some of that fire this year. So I'm actually, it sucks to say that, but I'm hoping for a fight. I know it's not hockey, but, I think we need some of that intensity.
That's one of my favorite memes, man. That's one of my favorite memes right there, Cam and Josh, man.
What did he call him? I can't remember. A pissant or something like that?
Something silly, man. Something silly. Had him hemmed up.
Oh, man.
Oh, man, yeah. Good times, man. Good times. That's all right. We'll recreate history. Maybe we'll have a different ending, a better ending this time. But, yeah. Well, all right, Panther Nation. Thanks for joining us for another podcast. This is your host, Timmy V.O., and I hope you guys enjoyed listening to Larry and Kevin and myself for talking about our Panther news. And, gosh, I can't wait to Wofford. But, yeah, thanks again for dropping by, folks. And as always, keep pounding.
She love it, we out in public and we can just chill with my partners and we can go back to my crib and just chill on the covers and do we call me and you love us cause I just...
The Four-Man Rush is brought to you by the love and respect of and for the Carolina Panthers and Carolina Panther fans everywhere. Keep pounding. The Four-Man Rush is a non-affiliate of the Carolina Panther organization. All thoughts, assessments, and content of this podcast is directly related to the Four-Man Rush exclusively. Thank you.